AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
Good morning, race fans, and welcome to another edition of the Front Stretch. We thank you for sitting down and enjoying this NASCAR dirt track talk show that we call the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. You guys back up and running. You guys are moving to summer hours.
Yeah, actually starting Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, we're going to open up at 2 o'clock. We found out that when we opened at 2 o'clock last year in the summertime, well, you know, Dan, a lot of high school kids, young college kids are just coming into town or leaving home, or they're staying in town throughout the summer break.
They're just starting to wake up.
They're just starting to wake up. They got some money to burn. They want to have some fun, and what better way? Come on down to Joe's 2 o'clock, Monday through Friday. We open up at 2 now, and like I said, starting this Tuesday.
Now, are you guys open tomorrow, Memorial Day? Or are you guys taking the holiday off?
We don't close down for nothing.
Okay,
we're
so
superstars in the racing world. Yeah, we're 24. If we could, we'd almost be 24/7, but we're open 7 days a week. Nothing special. Hey, military vets, come on down. We got a military discount for you. Come on down. Bring your DD-214, your military ID card. Give me a few stripes. Call me a colonel, and we'll slap you on the cart and give you a break.
What's the discount?
I think it's $1.50 a race.
Okay. Wait, off or total?
Off.
Okay, let's clarify that, because I'll go and forge a DD-12 or 14 or whatever you call it.
Race.
Yeah. So between $1 and $1.50
yeah,
off.
So if it's $13.50 for a race, all you military folks, but hey, it's military, firefighters, police officers, that is, you know, in that uniform division, you're going to be paying $12 a race.
Tonight and tomorrow at Quaker Steak and Lube, show your military ID, 25% off your purchase.
Do I look like a colonel or a captain to you?
You don't want me to tell you what you look like.
Well, because I'm thinking Boom Boom Shrimp. I mean, Captain Bud and Boom Boom Shrimp.
Did you get that text I sent you of the new Texas cheeseburger they got?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Good. We're going to have to go there and enjoy that tonight.
Man.
Going and watching. Could you imagine trying to... I think I could actually eat half of it before the Coca-Cola 600. By the time the race finished, I would be hungry again.
For another one.
And I'd finish the other half.
Well, yeah, I mean, the Coca-Cola 600, this is a great race. It's the only race where you can get excited for the first 50 laps, go eat a steak dinner, go take a 2-hour nap, wake back up, have a snack, go back to sleep for a couple of hours, then wake up and be hungry enough, like you said, to have another one of them cheeseburgers. And you still get excited to see the last 50 laps.
They're absolutely amazing. You gotta just get to Quaker Steak and Lube, brand new menu. And if you are a military veteran or a current active military, take your ID down to Quaker Steak and Lube, 25% off. Get down there today. Coca-Cola 600 green flag in just a few hours. Get down to the official watering hole of the Front Stretch. Earlier in the week, Wednesday night, the 2014 NASCAR Hall of Fame nominees were announced. All the time, ever since the nominees were announced, we have been posting profiles on the Facebook page, one a day, and just been getting that out there so you guys can find out who exactly is trying to get into the 2014 inductees. But who's the first one that got in?
Tim Flock, two-time NASCAR Premier Series champion. Flock was one of the sport's first dominant drivers in 187 starts. He had 39 victories, a total that still ranks 18th on the all-time wins list.
All right.
An interesting thing about Tim Flock, I think they called him Flacco, a nickname Tim Flacco, because he had a monkey that literally rode shotgun on the floorboard on the right side of the car. And that monkey, what he did is he pulled that a piece of metal back, and Tim Flock could actually look at the right front tire wear.
What the heck are you talking about?
You're seriously kidding me? You've never heard that?
No.
YouTube it. Seriously. YouTube it.
You are in left field every day of your life, aren't you? Inductee number 2, Jack Ingram. NASCAR Nationwide Series has had a variety of incarnations throughout the years. The Busch Series, the different varieties of it. But when considered overall as the level right below NASCAR, Jack Ingram can be considered as one of the greatest all-time drivers as far as that series is concerned. And then who's our next nominee?
Our next nominee, I just lost my... Oh, here we go.
Yeah, because you're looking up this monkey picture. What is this? Just because he's got a picture with a monkey doesn't mean that NASCAR actually allowed the monkey to race in the car with him.
They frowned on it, but he actually raced in the races with Tim Flock.
I don't know. Listen, nothing is out of line for as far as NASCAR is concerned when you hear of some of the things they let guys get away with in the 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Not to go in a different direction here, and I'm reading straight from legendsofnascar.com. Tim was the only driver in NASCAR history to have a monkey as a passenger when he raced. The monkey called Jocko Flacco raced with Tim in 8 races. When Jocko died and the children asked about him, Tim told them that he had to get rid of Jocko because he couldn't sign autographs. Jocko got loose once and grabbed Tim around the neck, forcing Tim to make a costly pit stop. So... So you're honestly in the studio looking at me like I'm crazy, and I just remembered that.
For once you're not.
Anyways,
nominee number 3.
Nominee number 3. I'm really glad this guy got in. Dale Jarrett. Jarrett personified big stage performances, in which he did. A 3-time Daytona 500 winner and 2-time winner of the Brickyard 400 at Indy. Jarrett excelled under NASCAR's brightest spotlights. How cool. I believe we were just talking, his dad, Ned, inducted 2011. Now, so how many father-son duos do you think there are out there?
To my recollection, well, I don't know the entire list of NASCAR Hall of Fame.
I would want to say 3.
Lee
and Richard.
I would imagine they're in there, but I'll have to double check first.
Ralph and Dale.
Yeah.
But did Ralph?
No, Ralph would never get in because he didn't race NASCAR.
You got Ned and Dale.
Right.
You got Lee and Richard.
Right.
You would think there would be another one out there.
Well, it could be Senior and Junior. Eventually, if Junior is able to win himself a championship or two. And maybe that's a conversation for a day of what will it take for Junior to be a surefire lock for the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Right.
I don't think he's a Hall of Famer right now.
No.
But one thing I want to mention about Dale Jarrett, he not only gets in on his accolades, but I think he also gets in on the fact that he has been such a great spokesman for NASCAR. After his career was over with, obviously sat down in the announcer's booth, still working in the announcer's booth, and is a tremendous voice of NASCAR and has helped to push the sport to a new level.
Oh, absolutely.
Number 4, your fourth nominee for the 2014 NASCAR Hall of Fame, Chief Engineer Builder at Petty Enterprises, Maurice Petty became the 4th member of the dynasty to be chosen as a membership in the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Following his older brother Richard, father Lee. Okay, there's our answer right there. Richard and Lee, along with cousin Dale Inman, are all into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Now, Maurice was the chief supplier for the horsepower that propelled Richard Petty to a majority of his wins, which equal over 200 victories, plus 7 NASCAR Premier Series championships and 7 Daytona 500 victories. Maurice Petty was a big reason why he had all the horsepower, why Richard had all the horsepower and got to those wins. Who's our final nominee?
Our final nominee, inductee, Fireball Roberts, Glenn Roberts, which was his real name, got his legendary nickname from his days as a hard-throwing pitcher in high school. Is perhaps the greatest driver never to win a NASCAR title. Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting right there. He was arguably stock car racing's first superstar, which I didn't realize, and an immensely popular prototype for some of today's competitors who are still stars on and off the track.
Fireball was the first one that really brought
charisma.
Right, exactly. A real charisma. And oddly enough, he was kind of one of the only surefire nominees in this inductee class because last year's panel voted a tie between him and I believe it was Dale Inman, who got eventually, after they went through and did a second balloting, Dale was able to get into the NASCAR Hall of Fame. Fireball had to wait out another year. So maybe a little bit too early to ask this question, Bud, but with the events of last week, is Dick Trickle a NASCAR Hall of Fame nominee?
Yes.
Next year, 2 years? Now, listen, I may touch on a sensitive subject, but it's always in human nature to elevate someone to a new level once they have moved on past this world. We've done it countless numbers of times with artists, celebrities.
Okay, I see where you're going.
Dick didn't necessarily have a lot of success in the NASCAR circuit. He had his success on the dirt and short track circuits.
But he was also one of the biggest fan favorites that NASCAR ever had back in the day.
But just because you're a fan favorite, does that put you at the same level as, I mean, if you're inducted into the Hall of Fame, you're automatically the same level as Richard Petty, as Dale Sr., as Dale Jarrett and Maurice Petty. We've seen the 2014 class.
Yeah, but now the first three people you just named right there are big-time winners.
You're right. They're the upper echelon of the Hall of Fame.
Maurice Petty, how many races did he win? Or was he just a mechanic that got into the Hall of Fame?
He raced, 26 Premier Series races, 7 top 5s, 16 top 10s, but then he retired and went to go work as an engineer, so he did not win a race. And
then you got Fireball Roberts, who never won a title. But Fireball Roberts was, one of the first ones that come on with charisma and, be a real big superstar in NASCAR. Dick Trickle was so beloved, and he arguably was one of the best short track racers that ever lived. Now, he leaves a legacy, and he is such a national treasure to stock car racing that I think we would be doing ourselves an injustice. I'm not saying we nominate him next year or the year after, but in the next 5 to 10 years, he'll be inducted.
That's kind of what I'm asking, though. Because of his passing, does he go up to the top of a list?
No.
I agree with you, but
he'll be inducted, but he's not one of the front runners to be inducted immediately.
Okay. I think I agree with you on that one. Just around the corner, turn 2, we're going to talk Bruton Smith's comments. Oh, yeah, that's right. Bruton Smith made a comment.
Every time I hear Bruton Smith, I think of the big guy off Popeye.
We're going to talk crew chief changes at Stewart-Haas Racing. Should there be? Maybe. And then we'll also talk about Jimmy Johnson. Boy gets no love. Just around the corner. Turn 2, it's the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
In 1999, Wade Cross decided he was tired of overpaying for shocks, so he created FX Shocks. Now FX suspension customers reach across the United States with countless wins and championships, including national champion in 3 major IMCA classes, plus Super Nationals champions in all 4 of the Saturday night's main events. Get your FX Shocks today. One-on-one consultation is waiting for you at 308-383-9609, 308-383.
This is Andrew from Kosiski Auto Parts. Kosiski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kosiski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kosiski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kosiski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
We're working the high line into turn 2 on the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Welcome back to the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. On to turn 2. Let's just dive into Bruton Smith's comments. After the All-Star race at Charlotte last weekend, Bruton sat up in front and talked to, was it WBTV, some guy over there, and it basically talked about moving the Charlotte All-Star race, the Charlotte Fall Chase race,
which would be the Bank of America 500,
to Las Vegas, so that and there would be some flipping within the 10-track organization that Speedway Motors is, and they would come up with a new schedule. I guess you were reading about it. There's a lot more to it than just maybe spicing up the racing a little bit, because I'm not a fan of Charlotte. I don't like that. I don't want to say I hate that track. I learned to hate that track after racing NASCAR 2013, because I found the wall more often than not.
Yeah, and this story gets kind of interesting to me because now I'm seeing where there's money involved.
Before we get it, let's not even get into the whole money aspect of it, because I hate that aspect of it. It's a negative side of it. It irritates the crap out of me that it's all about the money today, which it is.
But
let's talk about this. We saw the All-Star race on Saturday.
You did. I did.
Okay.
I was racing.
And we've seen Charlotte Motor Speedway. We've seen the racing there. Do you think, and we saw what happened at Las Vegas this year, beneficial for NASCAR to mix up the chase, to put Las Vegas in there and to take Charlotte out? What do you think? Yes or no? And you can expand on it, but do you think it's a good idea?
I could say yes.
Okay.
If we already have 3 races at Charlotte, even it out, give an extra race to Vegas, and let them have 2 Vegas races. Although I will say the only reason why anybody and everybody remembers Vegas this year is because of the Logano-Hamlin incident.
That wasn't at Vegas.
I thought
that was at Auto Club.
Okay, my bad.
I remember Vegas because it was the first race of the year that we saw some damn good racing.
Yeah.
That was, am I right, race number 2?
Was that the second or the third week of racing?
So it was the third week of racing, and that was. Listen, I think it's time to mix up the chase. We've had the same races for the last few years. I think teams are getting a little used to going to these tracks, so I think they're starting to get a handle on them. Let's mix it up a little bit. Let's put in a different track. I would really. I saw an ESPN article earlier last week that talked about 6 changes NASCAR needed to make in 2014 and on. One of them was take a race away from Charlotte and give it to Iowa Speedway. I like that idea because I like my Iowa boys getting a track. We need to mix it up a little bit. There was also shorten the length of the season. There was various ideas. What do you think about moving the All-Star race?
I think the All-Star race should be more towards, and we're not really that far away from it, more centrally located in the middle of the season.
I agree. We're only 11 races in, and they cut to the All-Star race. I completely agree with that.
I mean, you look at Major League Baseball. When's the All-Star race?
About the middle of the season.
About NBA?
Right, middle of the season.
NASCAR, why is it any different?
Yeah, exactly. Now, NFL's the only one that's at the end of the season, but I could almost support even being at the end of the season. You have the Daytona 500, the Super Bowl racing. Mm-hmm. To me, the Daytona 500, you watch the big race, and then the rest of it, you just kind of settle in. You're like, doom-de-doo-de-doo-de-doo. Yeah. But if you have the All-Star race at the end of the season after Homestead, and you revise it to where, okay, maybe, if you won in the current year and have the All-Star race and build the All-Star. So now you have a big race at the beginning of the year and a big race at the end of the year. I think I'm a fan of the middle of the season. I like that better because it does give the teams a chance to just kind of relax. Okay, this is our fun weekend. And I understand the argument that they like to have it in Charlotte because the NASCAR Hall of Fame is there.
A lot of them live there.
They're able to do back-to-back weekends, so it's kind of like a week vacation for the teams. But the All-Star race, hate to break it to you guys, it's not for the crews. It's not for the owners, and it's
for the fans.
Exactly. It's for the fans. It's to feature the best drivers.
Let me throw this in. Let me ask you this question, Dan. Have the All-Star race every year at Charlotte, or each year mix up the All-Star race and put it at a different track from year to year? One year we go to Charlotte, one year we go to Daytona, one year we go to Talladega, one year we go to Bristol.
Ideally, I would like to see it rotate between venues. Spread the money out, but the problem is logistics. That's where the big issue comes into, and then you've got facility owners fighting over it. You think Bruton Smith's going to allow NASCAR to take away his third moneymaker? Absolutely not. He owns 10 tracks: Atlanta, Bristol, Charlotte, Kentucky, Vegas, Loudon, Sonoma, and Texas, along with North Wilkesboro, which doesn't run NASCAR. But you think he's going to allow that to happen?
You have to look at you can't think about yourself in this. You have to look at the big picture. We just said it, the fans. You have to look at the big picture. So
I
if Bruton goes,
what you're saying, but
I can understand Bruton. If you're NASCAR, Dan, I understand Bruton going, Dan, I know you're the so-and-so owner of NASCAR. Don't take the All-Star race from me. But then you got Pat Warren down here in Kansas going, man, I would love to have the All-Star race one weekend. Bruton, you own these other 8 tracks. At some point in time, you're going to. So then what you can do, Bruton, is, okay, you don't have the All-Star race every week. So now you're building that anticipation. Pick a different, 1.5 mile track one year, super speedway one year, a small track one year, and just rotate. Everybody's going to get to have the All-Star race at some point in time.
I know. I'm completely on your side of logic, but you can also agree that Bruton Smith isn't going to want to give up that moneymaker.
No.
Because we've talked about, if they go, okay, let's take it from Charlotte and let's move it to Atlanta, which is another one of his tracks, he's going to go, well, okay, because that's still going to stay within the same organization. But he's not going to allow it to go. And he does have some say in this because he has 10 tracks. 9 of them are NASCAR circuits, and he could make life miserable for NASCAR if he wanted to. And I think that's a major problem, that the track owners have the ability to stand up and do this. It's just like the NFL has. Why were we locked out for how long? During the 2 seasons ago, is because it was a fight between the owners and the team and the players, and the commissioner really couldn't do much about it. But I think we're kind of getting off topic here. Where would you like to see? What would be one track you would like to see the All-Star race go to?
Seriously, Bristol.
Well played, my friend. Well played.
Notice no hesitation in that.
Not at all. Bristol would be great. I would love to see it at a short track.
Bristol under the lights or day?
Oh, under the lights.
Under the lights.
You got to go under the lights at Bristol.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. The March race at Bristol, it just, when you see it under the lights, it's like, hey, it's all right. Under the lights has it all. So I think we completely agree on that. We've got a little bit of time left in turn 2. I want to talk about Stewart-Haas Racing. Would I be out of bounds to say abysmal, pathetic start to a 2013 season?
Dan, and we both love us some smoke.
We do.
I could kick his ass on the track right now. He's that bad.
Well, I don't think so. I don't think he's that bad.
He's pretty bad on the track right now.
Okay, let me throw some stuff at you. And we talked about this when they made the switch after the 2011 championship run, and they made the switch to Steve Addington. And you had talked about there was a couple of races in the 2012 season. Do you think Tony's going to regret letting go of Darian Grubb? And I stick to my guns today. I don't think it was a bad move. I think the reason why they won 5 out of 10 races in the chase that year is because Darian Grubb's job was on the line. And he felt like he could win it back. After he was informed you will not be returning in 2012, they continued to win off of Darian Grubb's cars that he set up. They continued to win in 2012 off of the cars that Darian set up because even though you're engulfed in the chase in 2011, you're working on a majority of the chassis and the cars for 2012. You've got a lot of those cars done. 2012, we saw the downtick. You could see it midway through the season. There just wasn't something there. Instead of being up there contending, he was finishing top 10. This season, he would love a top 10 finish. He'd love
a top 15. Yeah.
And Ryan Newman hasn't really had a great career at Stewart-Haas Racing. He has struggled, but he has showed sparks of life.
Between Newman, Stewart, and Patrick, who do you think is showing the best progress? Danica.
You mean to be honest? Yeah. It's Danica Patrick. She's the rookie out there. She's running for the first time at a lot of these racetracks, and she's showing these boys, who, by the way, are finishing 5 or 6 positions away from her, that she's doing just as good as them. And it's got to be incredibly frustrating for a guy like Tony and Ryan who have seen success, who know they are good, but they just can't get it under
I like what they have on J-Ski right here. Every team goes through this at one point or another. We'll get through it. This year, my own team with my modified, if you look at our results this year, are we as good as we were this time last year? The results would say no. But I think we're just as competitive this year, if not maybe a little bit better than what we were last year at this time. But every team, you're going to have your peaks and valleys. This is just a valley. Are they having a dismal year? Yes. We all know this. They know this. They don't need to be reminded of this. I think they're going to be looking forward. Tony just had a 2-hour interview with Steve Addington in the hauler the other day. They're gonna right the ship now. I think it's a little too late, and I think they're in serious jeopardy.
Are they making the chase?
No,
I don't think so either.
But how awkward would it be with no smoke in the chase?
Well, it's happened before.
But then again, no smoke in the chase, and we got Eric Almirola in the chase now.
Yeah.
Boy,
I completely agree with you. Now, let me ask you that. Okay, the big rumor is that Steve Addington's on his way out, that he's not going to be there for very much longer. He hasn't done much with. I mean, to be honest with you, he is completely underperformed for what I thought he would do.
Very well said. When Steve Addington, he's coming over from Kyle Busch.
Right.
Kyle Busch.
He was with Kurt.
Or Kurt Busch. Regardless, either Busch. Regardless, they're a hell of a driver.
When Busch was over at Penske racing he was in the 2.
Yeah.
At the time.
So Steve Addington, he knows how to get the job done.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what's going on there, but look, just because you have a top notch, could you honestly put Chad Knaus as Tony Stewart? I don't think so.
I don't think you could at all.
No. That doesn't mean that they're not good at their jobs. Right. You just got to have that right chemistry. I don't know if the right chemistry is there. Steve Addington could go on to the next driver and go win a championship for all we know.
Okay, if they miss the chase, the 14 team misses the chase, does Steve Addington retain his job? I really don't think Steve Addington's...
Tony being the kind of employer that's going to be result-based. You're not showing results, you're out the door.
Right, and I think...
and that's only fair in NASCAR.
It's not just...
Hope Rich didn't hear that.
Your car owner? Yeah. They have got to have a miraculous turnaround. And I completely agree with Tony that this could just be an off year. We saw it out of Carl Edwards last year.
I was just getting ready to say Carl Edwards.
I mean, it's not like it hasn't happened before. Kyle Busch had it happen to him
Dale
last year.
Earnhardt Sr.'s had it happen in his career.
Junior's had it happen, and he seems to be on a bit of a turnaround. Now, I still want to see some more results before I call that a peanut. But, I think he's on the turnaround. It may be slow and painful, but it is there. As to where Stewart-Haas Racing, they've struggled as an organization as a whole since their inception as just Newman and Stewart. But Tony has managed to carry the organization to a level. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Tony's winning has made them seem like an upper echelon team. Take the last 10 races out of the 2011 season, and they're bad. I mean, they were not competitive through the middle part of 2011.
Yeah.
So with all that being said, let's wrap it up. Head over to turn 3. What about talk about Joe Kosiski in a couple of minutes about the Charlie Clark Memorial?
Yeah, that's a little race coming up.
We'll do that and more coming up on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
For 50 years, Eagle Raceway has been pushing the limits of dirt track racing. Saturday nights, come see the Midwest Best Battle at the fastest third-mile track. Gates open at 5:30 for IMCA Modifieds, Sport Compacts, Hobby Stocks, Sport Mods, and Race Saver Sprint Cars. Eagle kicks their season off on April 19th with the Icebreaker Challenge, featuring the debut of the Race Saver Sprint Cars. Located just 10 minutes east of Lincoln on Highway 34 and online at eagleraceway.com.
If you love rings and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
Welcome back to the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting at Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com. That's karting with a K. In the studio, owner of Kosiski Auto Parts, partner for I-80 Speedway, and good friend of the show, Joe Kosiski. Joe, thanks for sitting down with us.
Not a problem.
Also joining us on the phone, Luke Wanniger, who is the 2012 Charlie Clark Memorial winner. Luke, thanks for joining us.
Yep, glad to be here.
Luke, talk a little bit about that victory last year. How'd you do it, and talk a little bit about how you got her done.
Last year was when we were testing that crate motor for IMCA, and I talked with Joe, and they said they'd allow that out there for that Charlie Clark deal. So we went out there, and I think it was a little later in the year last year. Track got pretty dry at the end of it, and was lucky enough to pull off a win. So it was a pretty big win for us last year. I'm pretty happy about it.
Does a dry track kind of suit your driving style a little bit better?
Yeah, it just has a tendency to make things more racy when tracks get slick. That crate motor doesn't really like hammer down racetracks. It does all right, but it really thrives in the tracks that get slicker. I think the heat race might have been a little hammered down. I think we ran third, maybe behind Chris Abelson and I think Dylan Smith's other car. And I knew once it got slick, it'd be all right. So.
Are you actually going to be participating with the 604 this year at the Charlie Clark?
Yep, I've since they allowed it this year, IMCA did, and let everybody run it. I've been running that all year, and I plan to run it there and plan to run it the rest of the year. So.
I've actually had the privilege of getting my rear end kicked every which way, up, down, around by Luke Wanniger when he ran the sport mods over at Shelby County. And this kid is no joke. I mean, he is going to bring his A game. So everybody else better step it up. With that being said, when you come to a race like the Charlie Clark, just how big of a race is this for some of you A-Mod guys, Luke?
It's right up there. Anytime you get a race that pays what it does, over $2,000, you get a lot of heavy hitters. It seems to bring, everybody brings their A game to the races that pay a lot of money, and that's why people like winning them. One, because you win more money, but two, everybody was on their game and wanted to win it as well. And that's really the joy of winning a bigger race like that more than anything.
I want to ask Joe here, seeing how he's in the studio. Let's take a step back, Joe, and kind of give us some history on the Charlie Clark and how that came to be about.
Well, the Charlie was, if not the first driver that bought one of our K-Mods back when we was building modifieds. Charlie bought one at that time from us, and Charlie was racing himself. He had moving out of the hobby stocks to the A-Mods, and that's why when the race started, it started with modifieds in hobby stocks, because that's what Charlie was known in, as them three classes. Yep. Charlie was from Sioux City. He raced hobby stocks, and then he raced the A-Mods, and he bought, I don't remember if it was the first one or the second one, but we dealt a lot with Charlie. Charlie was a real close family friend. My brother Steve actually started driving cars for him. They won a $50,000 to win race down in Texas. They had some good wins, and they'd done a lot of racing together, and they was really good friends. In fact, the night that Charlie died, that he passed away, was today the 22nd? It was a year. It was 5 years ago today, or I believe 5 years ago today. Yeah, because it was on May 22nd, if I remember right. Wow. He was actually at Beatrice, Nebraska, helping Steve's boy was racing one of his cars at that time, because Charlie started building cars later on, and we sold out our business of race car parts and chassis. So Charlie was down in Beatrice helping his boy, and they decided they was going to go change a spring, and Charlie went to go get the spring, and Steve had got the spring out, and Charlie never come back to the trailer with the spring yet. And somebody come over and says, "Hey, Charlie over here, he just went out. He's cold, passed out or whatever." They thought he passed out, and found out he had a massive heart attack right there at the Beatrice Speedway.
Jeez.
Oh, my God.
So then you guys got the Charlie Clark Memorial going.
Yeah.
What was your first year running that?
This is our 5th annual. Okay. So, we've moved it around sometimes earlier in the year. That first year we ran it, he passed away on the 22nd. We ran it like in August or later in the year. And we thought it was only fitting that, as much racing as Charlie was noted for, he owned Harris Race Cars at one time. His boy Justin owns the Razor Race Cars right now. And as much as my brother and myself and him running a race with us, buying one of our first race cars, and we've known his wife forever, we just felt real that we needed to do it. And when we started it, it's kind of hung on, and it's a good race with the IMCA A-Mod style cars, with the IMCA Sport Mod style cars. Of course, at our track, we call them B-Mods and A-Mods, and then the hobby stocks, and that's what the Charlie Clark kind of started out being, was them three classes, because that's where Charlie was always known at. Now, this year means we went to Memorial Day. We used to always have a big race on Memorial Day that always had the alphabet soup with the super late models with MLRA and that, so we kind of replaced part of that race by running the SLMR series, which is the Super Late Model Racing Series, added to them three classes. So I think it's going to be a gangbuster of a year. And these guys with this, when Luke says 2,000 brings out the big dogs, this is for 4,000.
You've upped the purse now. Yes,
the purse has been up this year. So it's 2,000 to win 22-lap shows.
Luke, you paying attention to that?
Yeah, I knew that.
Now, that doesn't surprise me. You knew well
in
advance
bringing your
what the purse was.
Deposit slip with you?
Yeah.
I tell you what, Luke Wanniger, if you're a betting man, Luke Wanniger is going to be a guy to keep your eye on out
there. So I need to call
He's
my bookie.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, Luke Wanniger, the one thing I've noticed about Luke is right away, he's almost like the sleeper guy, the cool sleeper guy. At the beginning of the race, you're like, he's not looking all that bad. And then you're sitting there and you're watching the cars. Well, Luke is lap after lap knocking off 1 or 2 cars where you might see guys pass 3 or 4 cars in one lap and kind of stall out. Luke is always there at the end. He's a contender in this race.
Was last year your first year, Luke?
And to run the Charlie Clark deal?
Yeah.
No, actually, I was there the year before that and had a good run going, and I think they had an intermission there at the halfway point and got sent to the back for working on my car past the horn or whatever.
Joe!
Hey,
Really? Come on,
it's gotta
Joe.
be fair for everybody. And if that's the rule, that's the rule.
You know, we just had a guy a couple of weeks ago at Crawford that under a red flag hopped out of the car and started working on his car. So it happens. Anyways. 4,000 to win?
Well, it's not 4,000 to win. It's two 22 lappers that each pay 2,022 to win.
Okay.
So you could win $4,044.
Okay.
Right.
Is this one of those crazy races where you've got second place paying better than first?
That's the late models will be. The late models are racing for 2,022 to win, but they're racing for $2,222 for second.
All right. We were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. How you like to throw in those oddball numbers.
Oh,
in
you know,
there,
it's a lot of fun. You know, it's like this thing here. We're going to invert 22 cars after the first race. So if you're winning that first 2,000, you're going to start 22nd in the next 2,000, 2,000 to win race. And we're going to see some real competition coming from the back because, this race always brings at least 10 good cars. Am I right, Luke?
Oh, yeah, at least.
At least.
It'll bring at least 10 guys that can win the race. And, we're doing a little pre-registration.
Yeah.
And as of this morning, we had 20 A-mods registered.
Good.
And I'm looking at the thing, and there's some pretty healthy. I mean, we got Luke, and we got Kyle Burke, and we had Travis Dickus is going to run an A-mod.
I haven't got to see Travis run yet.
I've never seen him in an
I'm
A-mod,
excited.
but Travis is a pretty good racer.
I think he's got a win so far this year.
Does he?
Out of Butler County.
Jesse Sobbing was signed up for it.
Oh,
good.
So there's 4 out of the.
Now there's Bud. Bud's going to be there no matter what.
So we got almost 25% of the field that I know, that I can remember off the top of my head that's had wins this year.
Now, we recorded this interview Wednesday night. It's going to air Sunday morning. As of Sunday morning, is pre-registration still available? I know you guys were offering like a $10 discount.
Yeah, I think that's good. I think it's only good till Friday, but I didn't ask Lisa how long it was good for. I don't know if she ever printed it or what she done.
Okay, well, we'll post it on our Facebook for you guys so that way you can get the word out. And what is you guys are also, I saw on Facebook, you're offering a deal for the fans to help out the victims of Moore, Oklahoma.
Let's put it this way. It's not only for the fans. It can be my help it there. It can be anybody with a pit pass. If they bring a case of water, it has to be a 24-pack or bigger. I mean, like Sam's Walmart and them, they sell 32 packs. But if they bring a case of water, I'm knocking $2. I'm giving them a $2 discount for every 24-pack they bring.
Okay.
I've got to go to Oklahoma next week. I'm going to actually Oklahoma City, and I will take the water. I'm hoping we get 1,000 cases of water.
And that's one of those simple things that is absolutely essential. Well, everyone has got to have water saved up somewhere because that's one of the utilities that goes away during a natural disaster. Dirt gets in the water lines. You can't drink the water.
Nope.
And it's one of the simple things that no one ever thinks about, but it is critical when it comes to natural disaster relief.
Well, when I called on it, they says don't bring clothes, don't bring this, don't. So many people try to donate old clothes. They said if you bring unopened cases of water, they said we can love you for all of that. That's one thing they need really bad. We're giving a $2 discount. So I'm eating half of basically what most of the cases of water cost, and I'm hoping the people take advantage of it and bring it out there and get their $2 voucher to get in off the price of their admission. And I hope a lot of them bring 10 cases and get $20 vouchers so they can get in for free or whatever. And
is that a voucher for tonight
for Thursday night? Well, it's for Thursday night that will be past us.
Okay.
And Sunday.
Okay. So
they can bring them either day and get $2 off vouchers for either one.
Luke, how you looking this year? Are you feeling good about getting yourself a back-to-back win at the Charlie Clark?
Well, that's always the plan. So far the year's been hit and miss. It's had its ups and downs. It's getting better and better. We picked up a win here last week or 2 weekends ago, and I'm actually just working on the hot rod right now, seeing if we can find some speed, I guess. So, but yeah, I'm fairly confident, I guess. We'll be the front runner. I hope so, anyway.
Hey, Luke, are you going to bring down a case of water and get $2 off your pit pass?
Yeah, I'll bring down a couple cases of water.
There you go. There you go. I really appreciate it. And like I say, if I have to hire a semi-truck, I've talked to my if we get too many cases, it ain't a bad thing. I've talked to my brother-in-law at N&W Transfer, and he said he'll haul it down and he'll pay the fuel for that part of it.
Nice.
If I can't haul it in the van that I've got to haul it in. But we'll go from there.
Luke, while I got you on the phone here, I'm just kind of curious, and I know you've had to have been in some of these talks, with IMCA using this 604 crate motor in these mods. What's your opinion on these 604 crate motors? Because I believe you've used both the open and the crate in being a crate runner. I just kind of wanted your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, the crate in the A-mod class, everybody thought it would be the savior of the deal. All it does is cannibalize the sport mods more so than anything, but it's an affordable option for a lot of guys, and guys moving up from sport mods or hobby stocks or whatever, they're familiar with the crate deal, and it gives them an opportunity to get into a mod where before they didn't have that chance. And I mean, it has its nights, it's hit and miss sometimes, but I think the majority of the time it's competitive, and it gives a guy an opportunity to win at most racetracks and most racetrack conditions.
All right, Luke Wanniger, driver of the number 20 A-Mod, going to be at the Charlie Clark Memorial tonight. Luke, look forward to seeing you in Victory Lane. Good luck tonight, man.
Yes, thank you.
Have a good one. Joe, any last words before we head out to the Charlie Clark Memorial at I-80 Speedway in Greenwood tonight?
I hope that everybody brings a case of water. I hope everybody brings a case of water. Pits, people in the grandstand.
There's no restrictions.
There's no restrictions. I'm the one taking the $2 off their pass or giving out it's nobody else other than Kosiski
it's $2 off of gate admission on the front stands or pit passes, even in the pits.
Either way. Just bring your cases of water. And like I say, if I end up with 1,000 cases of water, it's going to cost Kosiski Auto Parts $2,000 for this. But let's do it, guys. And all you can pass around and help me out with it. I mean, I don't know what they're going to do down there in Oklahoma. You guys seen the racetrack down there and stuff like that. There's a lot of help needed down there right now. 24 packs of water. Bring it out as many packs as you want to. You get $2 off for every pack of water to the Charlie Clark Memorial, which is the last race that this is open for. As Joe, you head down to Oklahoma this week to do a little bit of work down there. So Charlie Clark Memorial tonight, 5:55. 5:55.
All right, I-80 Speedway in Greenwood, exit 420 on I-80. Joe, thanks so much for taking time out of your day.
I'm hoping that race time gets to start at 5:55, so the drivers that are listening means we need to be there by 5 o'clock to make the drivers' meeting.
Well,
please be there on time.
Yeah, because
we've had this talk.
Yeah.
I've had this talk with the drivers in the area.
Oh,
they better have learned from me this time.
It gets terrible for the fan. When the drivers get a little bit late, it just ruins the whole show because they're there making everybody late, trying to get their transponders, trying to get the draw in, and trying to make the best race for the people. So please, drivers, anybody listening, please be there before 5 o'clock.
I-80 Speedway, i-80speedway.com. More information. The Charlie Clark Memorial tonight, green flag, 5:55. Joe, thanks so much for your time. We always love having you in the studio. We'll be right back on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
This week's Legend of Tomorrow on the front stretch is Cody Thompson, a junior at Westside High School in Sioux City and a champion in IMCA Sport Compacts. Cody started his racing career at 7 years old on two wheels, tearing up dirt tracks, racing motocross. At 9, Cody's dad put him in a go-kart, and for several years, he raced kart and motocross before giving up the kart and focusing solely on motocross. The urge to get back on four wheels drove him to get a 97 Cavalier and try his hand at the Sport Compact world. Cody has claimed track championships at Port Jefferson Speedway and Raceway Park, along with numerous feature wins. Cody even made the big show at the IMCA Super Nationals, finishing 9th. 2013 has started off on a good note for the number 25 Sport Compact as Cody won the Spring Nationals in Beatrice. Cody knows that without the support from his mom, dad, grandparents, and sponsors, he wouldn't be near where he is now. Keep your eye out for Cody Thompson in the number 25 Sport Compact. Cody Thompson, this week's Legend of Tomorrow on the front stretch.
The Silver Dollar Nationals are returning to I-80 Speedway on July 18th, 19th, and 20th. Don't miss the nation's top USMTS, MLRA, and Lucas Oil dirt late model racers as they compete at Nebraska's fastest track. Come watch the nation's best dirt track racers compete for a $27,000 to win payout. Ticket prices and packages at 402-342-3453. The third annual Silver Dollar Nationals at I-80 Speedway, July 18th, 19th, and 20th.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into Turn 4 on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
Just about ready to wrap up the front stretch here on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio. The front stretch presented by Joe's Karting. Turn 4 brought to you by Kosiski Auto Parts, 51st and I Street in Omaha, 731-4592.
You want to hear something cool about Kosiski Auto Parts?
We've only got 10 minutes, so let's keep it quick.
I go in there. We needed a spare tire, a jack, and the hardware for the jack for the spare tire on a 2002 Chevy 2500 HD Crew Cab.
Yeah.
We, Rich and I, my boss, we go in there, we see Andrew. Later on that day, I go back to get the parts. Andrew gets off his chicken stool, goes out to the yard, gets the parts himself, takes me out there, gets everything down, loads it in my truck.
Yeah.
When's the last time you'd ever gone to O'Reilly Auto Parts, bought a hub or spark plugs, and they hauled it out to your car like it's a grocery store?
I had this. We joked about this the other day about we love that snot-nosed commercial for Kosiski Auto Parts. I wrote that out of experience. I went there one weekend. I was going to replace the oil pan gasket on my truck, and I opened it up and I looked at it and I went, this doesn't look like the same thing. I've been changing my oil every 3,000 miles. And the guy goes, oh no, that's it. Trust me, that's it. And I said, oh, all right. So I get home, get the old oil gasket, the oil pan gasket pulled off the truck. Sure enough, he gave me the wrong year. But oh no, he knew. So what do I do now? I got my oil drained out of my oil pan. I got my truck in pieces, and I'm up S Creek without a paddle.
Right.
So I went back there and I slammed it down on the desk and I go, are you sure that's the right one? He goes, oh yeah. So I slammed mine down on the desk and I go, you want to look at it again? Because those are not the same ones. And he goes, well, you got the wrong one.
Because you gave it to me, you idiot.
Anyway, so that doesn't happen at Kosiski Auto Parts. Those guys have been in place for years. They know what they're doing. They know how to find the parts. It's insane. I sat in there one day waiting to sit down with Joe and have a conversation about the show. And I sat there and listened to Andrew and who's the other guy? Corey, I think.
Yeah, I believe so.
They said, and it was... What kind of part are you looking for? Oh, we're looking for an alternator for this. Okay, what size engine does it? They know the minuscule details that change
the stuff.
Exactly.
The stuff that's important, they know that.
The small details that changes the part on the variety of the vehicle. So get to Kosiski Auto Parts, 51st and I Street in Omaha, Kosiski.com or 731-4592. As we're wrapping up the show, we had a long, hard discussion. Do you want to do points now or do you want to do Eldora now?
We can do points now.
Okay, because I get a kick out of this. This is about the fifth week in a row we have, or not in a row, but about the fifth week that we have talked about the Eldora rules package, and then we ran out of time to talk about it.
Well, Eldora's not up for another 2 months.
Let's talk. Let's talk point standings, or the points pick'em contest, and if we've got time in a little bit, we'll cover the truck race. Otherwise, we'll get back to it in a couple of weeks. How's that sound?
Yep.
Okay. Point standings. It's kind of embarrassing. I'm just getting whooped. Who are you taking for the Coca-Cola 600 today?
Well, you and I talked. Coca-Cola 600 is an endurance race, so I think you got to have somebody that's got the experience with the longevity of that race. If it was a 250-mile race, I'd have my pick. I'm going to go Junior.
You're going to go Dale Jr.?
Dale Jr.
I agree with you on that. It is, and the thing, you and I had a long discussion about this a couple of weeks ago about, I think the NASCAR media is doing a major disservice towards NASCAR. We'll talk about that a little bit, because today you're going to watch these promos, and it's going to be the same thing. Oh, the most amazing racing, and the fastest speeds, and the beating and the banging, and you're going to see clips of guys sliding up the track and hitting each other, and tempers flaring, when majority of the clips aren't even from that race. And that irritates the bejesus out of me when they do that. They're going to promote this race as a beating and banging race when it's the complete opposite. This is a race where you got to take care of your equipment. You take it easy. Yeah, it's not the most entertaining race, but the Coca-Cola 600 isn't going to be on the edge of your seat every single lap kind of a race.
It's not a Bristol-style race.
That's not what it's designed for. That's not the tradition of the Coca-Cola 600, and I was sold on a bill of goods and misunderstood that until I really sat down and thought about it. This is an endurance race. This isn't a race for a guy like Tony Stewart that's a little overweight. And me, I'm a little overweight, but I'm not out there run a marathon, okay? Tony's got the endurance to be able to do this stuff because he does it week in and week out. Someone like Dale Jr., who is pretty well physically fit, the guy shred like 50 pounds during the off season, the 2-month off season, is working out, has a regimen, has this stuff. That's what Coca-Cola 600 is for. It's an endurance race, so you got to pick somebody that's in shape. A good pick for today may be Mark Martin in the 55. Nobody's disputing that guy's endurance and that guy's ability to wheel a car. I think I'm going to go with Joey Logano, though.
Joey Logano.
I think I'm starting to be sold on what he's got going at Penske.
You know what NASCAR could do to help the Coca-Cola 600, though? They should promote the race that is the best race on the schedule for grilling out. And here's why. You watch the first 20, 30 laps of the Coca-Cola 600, then you got the rest of the race to grill out and eat your steaks, and then you got the last 30, 40 laps to watch the end of it, because it's going to be a 5-hour marathon.
Exactly. This isn't a race that you expect to see beating and banging for a good time.
There you go. You can go watch the Charlie Clark.
Joe, get back on the microphone here. Step back
Joe, you got to mention that.
After dealing some business. We're talking the Coca-Cola 600, obviously going on in a couple hours. This could be a great time to get the portable satellite out, go over to I-80 Speedway, get the grill out, watch the Coca-Cola 600, walk into the gates at I-80, right?
Yep.
Give me your opinion on this. We were just talking about it as you were out of the studio, that NASCAR is mis-selling a lot of their races today. That you're going to see promos today leading up to the race about the beating and the banging and the anger and the hard racing, the speeding and that kind of stuff, when this is the complete opposite of a race. This is the endurance kind of a race. This is not the race where on lap 57, two guys are going to get into a beating match. One guy is going to give up the position, and it's not going to be the most entertaining racing, but it's not supposed to be.
It's not going to be last week's race, what last week's race should have been, where they could beat on each other and run a little 10-lap segment and run and run and run.
Exactly.
This race here is the guy that can hold his head the longest and the best in points race. This is what they're going to call points racing on this one.
Keep their temper, too.
Yes.
Because it is going to be hot in those cars. They are going to be racing for a long time, and it's easy to lose your temper at the Coca-Cola 600 as it is at Bristol for the, the Goody's headache medicine 250 or whatever. Yeah, 500. The 500 they run there. It's just as easy to lose your temper there because you're in the car for so long.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Joe. Between Dan and I in our pick'ems contest, he takes Logano. I'm taking Junior. Who do you see being the odds-on favorite between those two?
I'm not a real Ford fan on this one. I don't think of Ford. So who you picking, Bud? I'm
taking
Logano?
Dale Jr.
Dale Jr.?
I took Logano.
Logano he's been awful good.
But Dale Jr.'s got the experience with the pedigree, the history of the endurance race. I think Junior's going to be better than Logano.
Logano's been better lately, though, and Logano finished better in the All-Star race than Junior did. He had a fast car at the end of the race.
Logano is a good little racer, but I think Junior, his crew chief, will keep him for that endurance of 600 miles better.
Once again, Bud's right.
We'll see. We'll see.
Well, who's leading the points?
Yeah. Just go ahead and tote that while you can.
Who's leading the points?
I am by a country mile.
Buddy is. So I'm taking Logano, Bud. You got the 88. Joe, do you think there's any other driver out there we're kind of neglecting, you think? I
don't know who you've picked in the past, so I hate to, I don't know how your whole situation works here, but
yeah. The rule is you can only pick the same driver twice in a season. 2-time maximum, and then once within 5 races. So I'm trying to save my Johnson picks. That's why I haven't picked him for this race. I'm going to save him for the Chase All-Star race, or the Chase race at Charlotte. Is there anybody? Johnson's a hands-on favorite to win that race every year.
What is your long shots for both of you? Are you just picking a long shot, or are you thinking the guys you're picking is the long shot?
I think I don't think Kurt Busch is a long shot.
Now
I think that 78 team is onto something.
I think before the season's over, there'll be a win out of the 78.
My long shot pick of any race this year, and I haven't picked him yet, and I was half tempted to do it today, because he's really come on strong this year, is Eric Almirola.
Yeah. See, I don't think that's such a long shot because he's coming on. I think someone that would be a long shot for the Coca-Cola 600, Juan Pablo Montoya.
I was going to say a 2-year past champion, Tony Stewart. Is he becoming the long shot anymore? I mean, I've seen both of you grit your teeth, but I really believe
he'd be considered a long shot. He'd be having a good year this year.
I really believe he's going to be the long shot to win this race. That's who I would pick as Tony Stewart. And let's think about it. Clint Boyer is probably my best friend, and I would rather see him. Of all the guys there, Clint's my best friend. And
wait, I'm not your best friend?
I said of all the guys that'll be racing that race.
Okay, all right.
Clint is my best friend that way, but I would pick as a long shot. I would pick Tony Stewart for this one, and I don't know why
I agree with
him,
that.
But
I think the reason why you were doing that is because he's had a bad season.
Yep.
And we talked about this in turn 1. There's rumors of crew chief changes at Stewart-Haas Racing because they're struggling as an organization, and it's so uncommon to see Tony have this many issues. That's a guy who credits himself to be able to wheel about anything.
Stop and think what Tony done 2 years ago. He got rid of the crew chief he won the championship with.
You take those 5 wins out of that chase, though, and they have a bad season.
Okay.
I mean, they barely made the chase.
Who got them 5 wins?
Exactly.
Tony or the crew chief.
Right.
They done it together.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. So I agree with you that Tony Stewart would be a long shot.
Sometimes putting that crew chief in its position makes everything go right. And Tony, I think, is spending a little too much time with the female this year.
I didn't know he had a...
he doesn't have a girlfriend.
Well, doesn't mean he doesn't have girls, though.
Yeah, I'm talking about Danica.
Spending time coaching her when he should have been
making sure everything's going good. You know what I mean? If that's making money for your team and you know what the sales and everything are of her.
Yeah. I wondered about this after a while. At what point in time does he start getting pressure from sponsors to start performing? Because they pay Bass Pro pays the big bucks to be the title sponsor of that 14 car, and he hasn't necessarily cashed in for them yet.
This week?
Memorial
Day weekend. What do they all start doing? Everybody brings out their fishing boat this weekend. Yep. This is the weekend he has to show up.
Coca-Cola 600, just a few hours away. Charlie Clark Memorial, just a few hours after that, I-80 Speedway. We thank you for joining us this morning on the Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting and Council Bluffs. Buddy, have a good day, bud.
You too, man. I'm going fishing.
I'm going...
Actually, no, I'm not.
Yeah, you're going to Charlie Clark. What are you talking about?
I'm not used to racing on Sunday nights. I'm going to the Charlie Clark. Joe, you already got my trophy and big check. I mean, I want the glitz glam.
There we go.
And do we have
trophy
him for
girls?
B
features?
We
used to call him B feature Bud.
Actually, the big question is, do you give a trophy out for tow?
Oh, you're worse than I am. I was at least giving him the credit to win the B feature.
We'll be back next Sunday better than ever. It's the Front Stretch presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590, Omaha's ESPN Radio.
In 1999, Wade Cross decided he was tired of overpaying for shocks, so he created FX Shocks. Now FX suspension customers reach across the United States with countless wins and championships, including national champion in 3 major IMCA classes, plus Super Nationals champions in all 4 of the Saturday night's main events. Get your FX Shocks today. One-on-one consultation is waiting for you at 308-383-9609. 308-383.
Are you ready for fast-paced, adrenaline-pumping, wheel-to-wheel racing right here in the Metro? Get to Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs and see what it's like to race real go-karts. Joe's Karting knows it's no fun to race go-karts at 10 miles per hour, so they ripped the governors out, and now the only restriction is how good you are at racing. It's full-throttle, white-knuckle racing every day of the week. Head over to joeskarting.com for hours, prices, and specials, or give Buddy a call today and set up your group races at 712-256-5278.